I'm trying to teach others how to save money, but I don't want to teach from just one mindset, because I know that there are many different backgrounds with many different beliefs. I was invited to teach a class on budgeting, but I know not everyone believes the same way as I do, so could you please tell me the different ways of saving money as well as different tithes and/or offerings for each scenario?
Golly, there are so many. Sure, I'll answer what I can. Let's start with tithes and then we will go into offerings. Let's say you make $20,000 a year and you believe in pre-tax tithing. That would mean that each year you would give $2,000 to your church. Let's say after taxes you make $18,000 a year and are a post-tax tither. That would mean that you would give $1,800 to your church each year. Now let's say you have trust issues with your church and want to make sure your money is actually going to a good cause and your pastor isn't just running off with the money in secret. In that case, there's item tithing. For instance, say your pastor is raising money for a new guitar for the worship team at church and they need $2,000 to buy it, but he is good at manipulating people to give, so he really plans to raise $4,000, but lies to the congregation and says they raised $2,000 when really they raised $4,000. They used $2,000 to buy the guitar and then sneaked off with the other $2,000. If that is the case, a person can use their tithe to pay for the guitar and give it to the church in public that way. If the pastor and his team are secretly cheating people, they can't get away with stuff like that when someone item tithes. You can use the same method if you are a post-tax tither. Just buy a cheaper guitar. Now then there's family tithing. Let's say someone has a really bad spending problem and is trying to get that under control. What she can do is to take their tithe and save it for their family, such as saving it in the bank, paying for medical bills, buying his/children's school supplies, or anything similar to this. The point here is to provide for family by sacrificing wants for needs. Also, this is another way to honor God with your first fruits, because after God your first priority is to your family and not to your local church. Even if someone is atheist or agnostic, if they don't family tithe for God, then they should at least family tithe for their family. This way they are preparing for future financial emergencies to be prepared for later. Then there's debt tithing, meaning you use your tithe to pay off whatever debt you have. So for instance, say you are $10,000 in debt and make $20,000 a year, and you currently are paying $250 a month to help pay off the debt, so you are paying $3,000 a year to pay off your debt. If that is the case, then with debt tithing you could then add $2,000 a year for a total of $5,000 a year, meaning you could pay off your debt in just 2 years using this method, while paying it off at a normal rate would take you 4 years. Using this method, once your debt is paid off, you can then either save $5,000 a year, give it all to your church, or split it and tithe and give your church $2,000, and save $3,000, then use it to save it and/or invest with it. Now some may like the idea of debt and/or family tithing, but they want to be able to tithe to their local church as well at the same time. If that is the case, you can follow the 80-20 rule, meaning that you try to keep 80% or as much money of 80% you can, while 20% goes to your expenses. In the 80-20 rule, you give 10% to your church and then another 10% for paying off debt. If you don't have debt, then you can save the extra money for your family. Now there are some that don't believe in tithing and will say that the apostles never tithed money because tithing was actually crops and livestock, and also in the old covenant people had money, but money itself wasn't tithed. There was a collection of money for the Lord's tabernacle, but it was never paid for in tithes. Also back then there was more than one tithe, so collectively the total tithes would be about 23%, not 10. Let's say you are dealing with a person who doesn't believe in tithing. If that is the case, it still may help them out great to either debt tithe and/or family tithe, since these tithes don't actually go to the church, but are used to help pay off debt and give finances to the family. Now some are Holy Spirit-filled givers, meaning they go to God in prayer and ask Him where He wants them to give and how much. God's answers may vary depending on the individual. Some may be directed by God to give 10%, some may be less than that, while others it might be as high as 100%. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all that money goes to the local church. God may have them make split payments and bless the local church and the poor, or just the church, or just the poor, or maybe that goes to their immediate family who has a lot of debt and that money is used to pay it off. The point is, since the money is all God's in the end anyway, it is important to donate it wherever God says to donate it to, and if He says to save it, then save it. Now others believe you can also tithe with your time and talents, and honestly I think sometimes the emphasis on giving money to a local church is greatly overrated because you can always get money back, but what you can't get back is time. So when you tithe your time to someone, you are giving them the greatest gift you can give. I hope this video blessed you today. Please like and subscribe to Everest1827, and if this video helped you, please share it with your friends.